What if I told you that the greatest threat to your destiny isn't failure, poverty, or even fear, but something far more subtle, something that dresses itself in pleasure and whispers promises of satisfaction, while silently stealing years of your life? Lust doesn't knock on the door wearing a warning label. It arrives disguised as excitement, as a spark you think you need. It tempts you with the illusion that it's harmless. Just a moment, just a feeling, just a small escape, but slowly it becomes an invisible leash, pulling your focus away from the future you were meant to build, and chaining you to cravings that never end. Think about it. How many dreams have been left unfinished because their owner got lost chasing temporary highs? How many brilliant minds have faded into mediocrity because their attention, energy, and willpower were drained by a force they thought they could control? And here's the twist. Lust isn't just about attraction or desire. It's a mindset that can attach itself to anything: power, status, attention. And once it grips you, it convinces you to trade long-term purpose for short-term rushes. You start believing you're making progress, but in reality you're running in circles. By the time you realize it's taken root, it's already woven itself into your daily choices, influencing how you think, how you act, and what you value. But this isn't a story of defeat, it's a warning with a way out. Because the truth is, once you understand how this force operates, you can break free from its grip, reclaim your focus, and channel that energy into building the life you were meant to live. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the exact shifts that will not only protect you from lust's trap, but also transform it into fuel for your true purpose. Most people hear the word lust and immediately think it begins and ends with physical attraction. But the truth runs deeper. It's a hunger for something you believe will complete you, yet it never truly satisfies. It's the relentless pull toward an object, a status, a sensation that feels urgent in the moment, but often leaves you emptier than before. Lust thrives on one thing: obsession. It doesn't matter if the target is a person, a possession, or even an ambition twisted out of proportion. At its core, lust is the art of magnifying one desire until it overshadows everything else. It hijacks your priorities, making the present feel more important than your long-term vision. You start making decisions not because they align with your values or your purpose, but because they feed the craving. Here's where the danger lies. Lust feels like passion. On the surface, the intensity looks the same. You're excited, driven, unable to think about anything else. But passion builds. Lust consumes. Passion sharpens your focus on a meaningful goal. Lust scatters it in the pursuit of temporary pleasure. And that difference is everything when you're trying to create a life that matters. Ignoring this truth is like sailing with a hidden leak in your boat. You can row harder, aim for the horizon, and dream of distant lands, but the water is still rising. Eventually you'll sink, not because you didn't have ambition, but because you never fixed what was draining your energy. Lust is that leak. It chips away at your time, your mental clarity, and your self-discipline in ways that feel small in the moment, but add up over time. In a world flooded with distractions, this force has more entry points than ever. Social media offers instant validation. Ads promise luxury and status as the ultimate markers of success. Entertainment delivers endless stimulation at the swipe of a screen. Each of these feeds the same cycle: desire, indulgence, dissatisfaction. Addressing it isn't about moral posturing or pretending to be above human nature. It's about protecting your most valuable asset, your focus. If you can recognize where obsession has replaced purpose, you can reclaim the energy you've been scattering and invest it in something lasting. The real battle isn't against desire itself, but against letting desire become the driver of your life. When you master that distinction, you gain the freedom to pursue what truly matters, without being pulled off course by every passing temptation. The most dangerous enemies of your dreams rarely show up waving red flags. They come dressed as opportunities, pleasures, or harmless escapes. Lust operates exactly like that. It doesn't openly attack your long-term vision. It simply keeps you too busy, too distracted, and too entertained to pursue it with full force. It starts small. You tell yourself you'll just indulge for a moment, that you'll get back to work afterward. But the moment stretches. Your focus shifts from the big picture to chasing the next hit of excitement. Instead of building something that will outlast you, you're constantly feeding a hunger that returns stronger each time. The days blur, the deadlines slip, and the dream you once had starts to feel distant, almost unrealistic. Think about the athletes with world-class potential who lost their discipline because of nightlife temptations, or the entrepreneurs who had revolutionary ideas but got caught in cycles of indulgence, lavish spending, shallow relationships, or image-driven pursuits. History is filled with names of leaders, artists, and innovators who were on the brink of greatness, but traded it for fleeting satisfaction. They didn't fail because they lacked talent. They failed because they let short-term desire outweigh long-term purpose. And it's not just public figures. Everyday people experience the same trap. A student preparing for a life-changing exam decides to take a quick break that turns into hours of distraction. A professional aiming for a promotion spends evenings chasing thrills instead of sharpening skills. A person saving for a dream project slowly drains their resources on impulse buys. The cruel trick here is that lust convinces you you're still in control. You tell yourself you can quit any time, that you'll get serious tomorrow. But each compromise shifts the balance in its favor. And before long, your vision feels like something you'll get to one day rather than a mission you're fighting for right now. Protecting your higher goals means recognizing the cost of each distraction in real time. Every moment you trade away for a quick fix is a moment stolen from the work that could change your future. It's not about rejecting pleasure altogether. It's about refusing to let it take the wheel. The people who achieve lasting success aren't the ones with the strongest desires. They're the ones who know which desires deserve their attention and which are just detours in disguise. Lust doesn't just appeal to your emotions. It hardwires itself into your brain's reward system. It works like a skilled hacker, finding the fastest way to trigger pleasure signals and convincing your mind that you need more. The hook is chemical, and once it's in place, it's not easy to shake. At the center of this trap is dopamine, the brain's motivation molecule. Dopamine isn't pleasure itself, it's the anticipation of pleasure. Every time you see, hear, or even think about something you crave, your brain releases a small wave of dopamine, making you feel energized and focused on getting it. Lust hijacks this mechanism, turning what should be a healthy driver for growth into an endless chase for short-term highs. The problem, your brain adapts. The first time you indulge, the dopamine spike feels intense, but over time, the same stimulus produces less effect. You don't feel as excited anymore, so you go looking for more intensity, more novelty, more risk. It's a feedback loop. The more you feed it, the more it demands. And because the brain loves efficiency, it starts to wire itself around this new priority, making the craving feel like a need rather than a choice. This is why people stuck in lust-driven habits often find it harder to focus on anything else. The brain begins to associate motivation with only one type of reward. Activities that don't give that same quick rush, like building skills, planning for the future, or working steadily toward a goal, feel boring and slow by comparison. Purpose becomes less appealing because it can't compete with the instant gratification your brain has been conditioned to expect. And it's not just about sexual desire. The same reward system can be hijacked by social media likes, impulsive spending, or even power games in relationships. The mechanism is identical. Stimulus to a dopamine spike, craving, repeat. Breaking this cycle requires retraining your brain to value delayed gratification again. It's about intentionally choosing actions that build long-term rewards, even when they feel less thrilling in the moment. Over time, the same neuroplasticity that built the addiction can rebuild focus, patience, and self-control. Understanding this isn't just science, it's strategy. Once you see how lust manipulates your brain chemistry, you stop falling for the illusion of just one more time, and start taking back control of where your motivation comes from. That's the first step to freeing your mind for something great. One of lust's most convincing disguises is its ability to dress up as love or passion. It imitates the intensity, the excitement, and even the emotional pull, making it hard to tell the difference. On the surface, both love and lust make your heart race, occupy your thoughts, and push you to take action. But the roots couldn't be more different. A genuine connection grows deeper over time. It's built on mutual respect, shared values, and a willingness to weather the quiet, uneventful moments as much as the exciting ones. Lust, on the other hand, thrives in intensity but struggles in stillness. It's about the high, not the foundation. Once the thrill fades, so does the attachment. The same deception happens with passion for work or goals. Real passion fuels perseverance. It makes you willing to do the unglamorous tasks, face rejection, and still keep going because the outcome matters to you on a soul level. Lust-driven attachment to an idea is different. It's infatuation with the image, the status, or the quick wins that the goal seems to promise. You're hooked on how it feels now, not what it truly means in the long run. This is why so many people mistake cravings for purpose. A business idea feels exciting, so they jump in without a plan. A relationship feels electric, so they ignore red flags. A hobby feels thrilling, so they assume it's their calling, until the excitement fades and they're left wondering what went wrong. Lust in disguise is dangerous because it convinces you you're on the right track. You think you're following your heart when in reality you're chasing a sensation. This false sense of direction can drain years of effort into something that was never aligned with your deeper values. The way to see through the disguise is to ask, would I still be committed if the thrill was gone? True love, whether for a person or a purpose, survives the slow days. It becomes stronger when tested. Lust crumbles when it's not constantly fed. Learning this distinction can save you from emotional burnout and wasted years. It keeps you from building castles on sand and helps you invest your time, energy, and heart in things that will still matter long after the rush has passed. That's where real fulfillment begins. If you've been listening closely, you already know lust isn't just a fleeting temptation. It's a thief. It robs you of focus, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in cycles you swore you'd break. You may have tried willpower, distractions, or simply telling yourself this is the last time. But the truth is, lust doesn't lose its grip just because you wish it away. It takes strategy, wisdom, and proven principles to cut it off at the root. That's exactly why I created 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust. This isn't just another self-help checklist or vague motivational talk. These are time-tested, spiritually grounded strategies straight from Scripture, designed to not only break the cycle but replace it with clarity, strength, and lasting peace. Inside, you'll discover how to dismantle lust's strongest footholds, rewire your thought patterns, and rebuild your life around what truly matters. You'll learn the same principles that have helped countless people overcome even the deepest struggles, and they're simple enough to start applying today. Here's the truth. Every day you delay is another day you let lust decide how you spend your time, energy, and potential. The longer you wait, the more ingrained the habit becomes. But the moment you start applying these biblical secrets, the grip loosens, the clarity returns, your purpose comes back into focus. So don't leave this battle to chance. Take control. Invest in the guidance that will help you walk in freedom, not just for a week but for the rest of your life. The purchase link is right there in the video description and pinned comment. Click it now, grab your copy of 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust, and start walking the path to freedom today. Your future self will thank you. Energy is the currency of your life. Every choice you make, every thought you dwell on, every emotion you feed, costs you something. Lust is one of the most expensive habits you can have, not because of the obvious consequences, but because of the silent drain it creates on every level: physical, mental, and spiritual. Physically, lust pulls your body into overdrive. It triggers hormonal surges, disrupts your sleep cycles, and can even weaken your immune system when it becomes compulsive. The body treats intense sexual or craving-based stimulation like a high-alert situation, flooding you with dopamine and other chemicals, then leaving you in a depleted state once the rush is over. That cycle of spike and crash eats away at your stamina, leaving you more tired, more irritable, and less capable of sustaining long-term effort. Mentally, the drain is just as severe. Lust hijacks focus, turning your thoughts into a revolving door of images, fantasies, and scenarios that distract from real work. It becomes harder to concentrate because part of your mind is constantly occupied, chasing that next hit of stimulation. Over time, your ability to enter deep, productive states of flow weakens. You might sit down to create, study, or plan, but your brain is scattered, always looking for quick gratification instead of long-term results. Spiritually, the cost is even greater. Many traditions teach that sexual energy, when conserved and channeled, can become a powerful force for creativity, intuition, and purpose. In spiritual teachings, this is often referred to as life force energy, chi, or prana. When lust consumes that energy, it's like pouring water into a leaking bucket. You may work hard to fill it, but the more you indulge, less you have to direct toward meaningful creation, growth, or connection with God. Ancient wisdom, from biblical principles to Eastern philosophies, warns against scattering this energy carelessly. Instead, they encourage transforming it into discipline, creative work, and service. Those who master this redirection often find themselves with more clarity, more drive, and a deeper sense of peace. The truth is, energy spent on lust is energy stolen from your highest potential. Every moment you reclaim from it is fuel you can pour into building something lasting, whether that's a business, a skill, a relationship, or your own spiritual growth. And once you experience that surge of focused, undivided energy, you'll wonder why you ever gave it away so cheaply. One of lust's most deceptive qualities is how it convinces you that the moment matters more than the aftermath. In the heat of desire, the future feels far away, almost irrelevant. But the moment always passes, and what follows can be a chain reaction you can't easily undo. The first link in that chain is guilt. Even if no one else knows, you know. That quiet voice inside reminds you that you compromised your standards, broke a promise to yourself, or acted out of weakness instead of wisdom. This guilt doesn't just fade, it lingers, seeping into your confidence and making you question your own discipline. Then comes the relational damage. Lust-driven decisions often lead to broken trust, whether it's infidelity, dishonesty, or simply neglecting people who truly matter because your focus is elsewhere. Trust is fragile. Once cracked, it's never quite the same. Even if the other person forgives you, the connection changes, and the weight of what's been lost stays with you. But perhaps the most dangerous consequence is the slow erosion of self-respect. Every time you give in, you reinforce the belief that you can't control yourself. Over time, this shapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a person of discipline and integrity, and start viewing yourself as someone who will always fall short. That mindset doesn't just affect your battle with lust. It leaks into other areas, making it harder to pursue big goals or take risks, because deep down, you don't trust yourself to follow through. And while all this is happening, time is slipping away. Hours lost to indulgence could have been spent building skills, deepening relationships, or taking steps toward your purpose. Opportunities pass by unnoticed because you're too distracted to recognize them. And once they're gone, they don't always come back. The tragedy is that none of these outcomes are obvious in the moment. Lust blinds you to the long-term cost and sells you on instant gratification. But when the rush fades, the bill comes due, and it's always higher than you expected. Breaking this chain starts with seeing it for what it is, a predictable pattern that will repeat unless you choose differently. Once you recognize the cost, you can stop trading your future for fleeting moments and start making choices you'll be proud of years from now. The higher your potential, the more valuable your focus becomes. And that's exactly why lust sees ambitious people as prime targets. When you're driven, disciplined, and chasing big goals, you generate a kind of energy that draws attention. That same energy, if misdirected, can be siphoned off into pursuits that look exciting but lead nowhere. For someone with little ambition, lust might only derail small opportunities. But for someone with vision, the stakes are much higher. One distraction at the wrong time can stall years of progress. The more you have to lose, the more dangerous these temptations become. Lust knows this, and it doesn't always show up as something obviously destructive. It often comes disguised as a reward you deserve for working so hard. Consider the entrepreneur building a business from the ground up. Success brings recognition, connections, and new environments filled with temptation. Flattery from admirers, the lure of status symbols, invitations to exclusive parties. Each one feels like a harmless indulgence, but over time they chip away at the focus and discipline that created success in the first place. Or take the athlete who spent years mastering their craft. As fame grows, so do the opportunities for distraction, constant attention, adoring fans, and the intoxicating rush of being wanted. Many careers have crumbled not from a lack of skill, but from letting these short-term pleasures outweigh long-term goals. Even in the creative world, it's the same story. A talented artist or influencer might start with a pure vision, but once money and recognition enter the picture, the craving for approval or luxury can subtly replace the original purpose. Lust shifts the focus from creating something meaningful to chasing the next ego boost. What makes ambitious people so vulnerable is the illusion that they can handle it. They tell themselves they've worked too hard to throw it all away, so a little indulgence won't hurt. But ambition doesn't protect you from lust. It can make you more blind to its pull because you feel in control. The truth is, the more potential you carry, the more fiercely you must guard your focus. Every ounce of energy lost to lust is energy stolen from your vision. And in high-stakes pursuits, even small detours can lead you far from the future you've been working toward. Recognizing this early can mean the difference between a life of fulfilled potential and a legacy cut short. Freedom from lust doesn't begin with avoiding temptation. It begins with changing what you value. As long as instant pleasure feels more important than long-term fulfillment, the cycle will repeat. The shift happens when you start asking yourself, will this matter a year from now? That single question can reframe countless decisions and remind you that the rush of the moment is fleeting, that the impact of your choices can be permanent. Training your mind to prioritize the future over the present isn't natural. It's built through practice. Start small. Delay small pleasures for just a little longer than you normally would. Over time, this strengthens the mental muscle that allows you to say no when it counts most. You begin to realize that the short-term high isn't worth sacrificing your focus, energy, and self-respect. Discipline is the next cornerstone. This isn't about rigid self-denial, but about creating a structure where your highest priorities are protected. Build routines that fill your time with meaningful work, physical activity, and intentional rest. The more purpose-filled your schedule is, the less room there is for idle moments where lust can take root. And when those temptations do appear, you're not meeting them from a place of boredom or emptiness. You're already engaged in something that matters. Mental clarity comes from reducing noise. Lust thrives in a cluttered mind. Limit unnecessary stimulation, whether that's certain online content, toxic environments, or relationships that feed temptation. Replace them with sources of inspiration, wisdom, and truth that keep your perspective sharp. The final piece is replacement. You can't just remove lust-driven habits. You have to replace them with actions that feed your deeper purpose. If you normally waste an hour on something that leaves you drained, commit that hour to learning a skill, building a project, or connecting with someone who inspires you. The brain craves reward, so give it rewards that align with your values. Breaking free isn't about winning a one-time battle. It's about building a life so rich in meaning that lust feels small by comparison. When your days are filled with progress, your mind with clarity, and your heart with a purpose worth protecting, the temporary pull of lust loses its power. You're no longer just resisting, you're choosing something far greater. There's a moment in every person's journey when they realize the cost of staying where they are is greater than the cost of change. That's the turning point. The moment energy once wasted on empty pursuits begins to flow towards something that truly matters. The first step to reclaiming your purpose is identifying exactly where your energy has been going. Be brutally honest with yourself. How many hours, thoughts, and emotional investments have been spent on things that don't move you closer to your vision? Once you see the leak, you can start sealing it. Every ounce of energy you take back is fuel you can pour into a meaningful goal. Redirection begins with clarity. You need a goal that excites you enough to compete with the pull of old habits. When you have something worth fighting for, a business you believe in, a skill you're passionate about, a mission that impacts others, your energy naturally shifts. The mind that was once occupied by cravings now finds satisfaction in progress. Transformation stories prove this shift is possible. One man, after years of being consumed by lust, committed to 90 days of redirecting that energy into physical training and launching a side business. By the end, not only had he broken the cycle, but his income doubled, his confidence soared, and his relationships improved. Another, a young student, used the same discipline to pour hours into mastering a craft. Within a year, she was earning from it, traveling and living with a sense of purpose she'd never felt before. These changes aren't magic. They're the result of consistent choices. Every time you choose to channel energy into something productive instead of indulging an empty habit, you're rewriting your future. The momentum builds, and soon, your life starts to reflect the values you've always claimed to believe in. Reclaiming your purpose isn't about simply avoiding lust. It's about creating a life so rich in meaning that you don't want to waste your energy anywhere else. When you live in alignment with your mission, the pull of distraction fades, and what once felt like a battle becomes a daily choice for the life you know you're meant to live. At the end of the day, lust isn't just about desire. It's about what it's costing you. Every time it wins, it takes something: your time, your focus, your peace of mind, your confidence, your relationships, your sense of purpose. It's not just stealing moments. It's stealing the life you could be living. You were created with the potential to build, to lead, to love deeply, and to leave a legacy that matters. But lust doesn't care about your potential. It only cares about keeping you distracted long enough to make sure you never reach it. The truth is, you cannot live a life of both distraction and destiny. One will choke out the other. Freedom isn't about white-knuckling your way through temptation. It's about replacing that empty craving with a fire for something great. It's about deciding that your future, your calling, and your relationship with God are worth protecting at all costs. And once you experience the clarity, strength, and focus that come from breaking free, you'll never want to go back. I know breaking this cycle isn't easy, but I also know it's possible, because thousands before you have done it, and so can you. You don't have to fight blind. You don't have to rely on guesswork. The wisdom to win this battle has been here for centuries, and it's found in a source that never fails, the Word of God. That's why I put together 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys you. Inside, you'll discover time-tested, scripture-backed strategies that not only help you overcome temptation, but also transform your mind, your habits, and your purpose from the inside. This isn't just about saying no to lust. It's about saying yes to the life God meant for you to live. If you're serious about breaking free for good, the link to get your copy is in the video description and pinned comment. Don't wait until another year is wasted. Don't give lust one more day of your life. Take the step, take your freedom back, and start living with the focus, power, and peace you were always meant to have.